are listening to yet another fantabulous BHX. I'm your host, Kevin Coots. Right next to me is the lovely, talented, beautiful, gorgeous, and stunning Rachel Coots.
Thank you very much. We're so happy to have you guys. BA Chats, Bethel Atlanta Chats exist because we believe in the testimony. Testimony just means do it again, God. So we know about him that he's generous and he's wonderful and he's no respecter of persons. And if he's done it once, if he's done it 1,000,000 times, he'll do it 1,000,001 in you.
Absolutely.
So these are just testimonies of beautiful things that Jesus is doing. And when your heart leaps, when you hear something marvelous on BA Chats, we totally encourage you, full permission to say, Father, do that again. Do it in me. Do something wonderful in me. Yeah. Possess my life. Good. Let me do something wonderful. Be in me. Yeah. So that's what BA Chats is for. And
also, you know, here at Bethel Atlanta, we just feel like every time you walk into the doors of the tent.
Say that.
I'm going to say that.
And we actually have doors on a tent.
We do. It's so.
You'd have to see to believe it, but we do.
I'm like, anytime we walk in the door of the tent, or you decide to just go in the side and lift it up, however you get in. There are so many people in our body that just have wonderful giftings, and they have so many beautiful stories and testimonies, and they have hearts for Jesus, and there's a passion in them. And it would be a shame, and we don't believe in shame. It would be a shame to not hear their stories and not hear about what God is doing in them. And so this is our opportunity for us to showcase people that are just throughout our body rocking the world for Jesus. So here we are. BA Chats, doing it again.
Our friends we have in tonight are exactly what Kevin was saying. They're just doing a beautiful thing for Jesus, with Jesus, living with Jesus on the planet. We've got Kyle and Celeste Wishing. Yay. Welcome, you guys.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Yes, you can clap.
Coming. Hey, guys. We made it.
Thank you for coming in. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so just we'll start with you, Kyle. Introduce yourself just a little bit to our audience.
Sure. So I'm Kyle Wishing. I am a member of Bethel Atlanta. Been here. I am BA. Been here for 7 years.
Wow.
7 years of the 11.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of an old timer.
That's awesome.
Around these parts. So did school of ministry and graduated a few years back. Let's see. I work in finance in the city.
Nice.
Do business valuations. That's kind of the day-to-day job. Married this lovely lady a little over a year ago.
Oh, you guys. Celeste, tell us about you. Introduce you just a little bit.
Yep. Well, I'm Celeste, and I've been at Bethel Atlanta since 2011. I moved here to do the school ministry. So I did 3 years of school ministry and just been hanging around since.
Great.
Yeah.
Kyle, how many years did you do?
3.
Okay, so both of you 3.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Different times?
Different times.
Okay.
I finished up my 3rd year, and then he started his 1st year.
Yeah, I started, the year after she finished, so.
Yeah.
And did you, so you met here, though?
We met at a life group, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're like pro-life group,
I was about to say, and the life group's just...
Very pro-life.
Yeah.
Pro-life group. I think
do that. Well, so what are you guys doing now?
Well, we're married, and
for a year, right?
We're pretty much settling down a little bit. So we had kind of a fast and furious first year of marriage, and they don't necessily say go travel the world and
don't
quit
make
your
any
job.
big decisions. Well, we didn't listen.
We didn't really listen to that.
Who
we talked to
are they?
Justin. We did talk to Justin before doing this. But
who are they anyway? Who are these people telling us this?
Right.
So we got pretty wrecked over the summer and went on a long-term,
short-term.
Ish.
Yeah. Shortish term.
Mission trip to go to harvest school, and then kind of extended that out for a little bit, and
awesome.
Took 4 months off of work, and so really just got rocked a little bit more than the normal day to day.
Yeah. So explain to our listeners what the harvest school is.
So Harvest School is through Iris Ministries, Heidi Baker.
Okay.
It's supposed to be in Mozambique. We were in Mozambique for 2 weeks, and then we had to be moved to South Africa. So the school is in Africa, and yeah.
Was that political unrest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a school for missionaries, if you want to be a missionary, but really we got there and found out, it's actually just getting rid of everything else and focusing on Jesus. So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay,
Like,
we want to hear.
how to be a missionary, just Jesus.
So it's not just people who want to be missionaries. It's just flat out, let me introduce you to Jesus. This is him.
Yeah. It's advertised like as a mission school. Their heart is to really just get everything else out of the way and find the real thing. Like, why are you doing missions? And whether you're doing it internationally or whether you're doing it home. So, yeah, they advocate going home. Like, hey, at the end of it, go home and
That's
be a
awesome.
missionary. So, yeah,
Well, how'd that go?
amazing.
We want to
Which
hear
part?
all the stories. We want to get all those. How did it go being taught how to get everything out of the way and just love Jesus?
I mean, it's beautiful. It was really a beautiful experience to get to
Bet.
go, and
Bet.
where you just really don't have that many distractions, and there's worship going on around the clock, and then people are just really hungry and desperate for Jesus, and the need for Jesus is so obvious in front of you. And yeah, the spiritual world just felt really tangible the whole time, that we're seeing people, getting slain in the spirit and all over, and people exorcising demons and stuff as well. It's just a little different world than what you see here.
You guys are going to have to pick a couple of stories. We want to hear your favorite stories. Or Mozambique stories are good stories.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. It was almost like we had two parts, like the school part, and then we did an extended outreach in the Philippines. So it's kind of like we had two different, like we had school, and then we got to like do it, just go minister. So my favorite testimonies are actually from the Philippines, more so than school.
Wow.
And we went to an Iris base in the Philippines, in the ghetto.
Yeah, I was in a trash dump.
Manila.
Like we lived in a
Wow.
trash dump.
You lived there.
Yeah.
Wow.
For like 10 days, I think.
And
So.
how was that experience?
Amazing. That's like, I think trash dumps are probably my like full throttle.
Wow.
Like take me to the trash dumps,
Wow.
Wow.
Celeste, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that really stuck with us was quote from Mel Tari was, "Seek Jesus and seek the lost, and signs and wonders will follow."
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
And it's just the simplicity of seeking Jesus and seeking the lost. And
Yeah.
and I don't know, I think sometimes over in the West, I feel like I have to be so prepared, it's just so professional in whatever I'm doing. And really, Jesus is just always enough, and he's always with me.
That's helpful.
And
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So one testimony that I have is, it was 4 of us on this trip.
Okay.
We had, one leader, and then there was one other guy from the school, and this guy's just a radical dude, closest thing to Todd White I've ever been around.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Just
Yeah.
on fire, South
I was like,
African
pray for me.
brew.
He's so radical.
And so he's just full on evangelism the whole time. And we have this one day where we're handing out meals, and he's leading worship, and there's all these guys that I'm getting to minister to, and I realize, none of these guys know Jesus. What's the deal? Most of the people who had come through were members of the church, and I was talking about Jesus and asking if they needed prayer, and just something wasn't connecting, and I realized, the Holy Spirit just told me they don't know Jesus. You need to share about Jesus. And so it's just not something that I normally do, to just preach the gospel. And I was able to share, and really just share my story who Jesus is to me. And you know, it was funny. I was looking for our friend Robin, like, oh, is he available? Because he's got this amazing testimony. He was in a gang, and, you know, Jesus just pulled him out of,
Wow.
you know, bondage.
Crazy
And
stuff. Yeah.
and really just has an amazing testimony. And mine is really just, hey, I grew up in the church and I learned to hear God's voice one day, and it changed my life.
That's beautiful.
That's an amazing testimony. That is. Those are the best testimonies.
And so I just shared it, and it turned out these guys were all Muslim guys.
Wow.
And they all accepted Jesus. And so these
awesome.
8 guys, accept Jesus based on, you know.
Was this in English or through an interpreter?
So bit of both.
Okay.
So in the Philippines, they actually understand and can speak English for the most part, but there was somebody there helping out.
Wow. And so how many people did you get to lead to the Lord that day?
Yeah, so about 8.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There were 8 of them.
Yeah.
In a trash dump. This is all happening in a trash dump, right?
This was actually in a different. We were in the trash dump, and then we went to a different city.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is
That's kind of part 2.
Yeah, part 2 of the mission. There was a typhoon happening, and
wow.
yeah, so we were there in the middle of a typhoon, which was absolutely nuts.
Holy cow.
So, like-
you
Yeah.
guys.
So that's kind of the
I know.
backstory.
Yeah.
Like that's why we were handing out food, was because nobody
Yeah.
could work.
Yeah.
So they just live day to day, and if they can't work, they go without.
Wow.
And so people
Wow.
were coming in, and yeah.
And these Muslims just happened to wander in. They heard there was food, and we were giving away food, and we're like, oh, well, I guess come on in, okay. And yeah, it was beautiful.
how
So,
are relationships between Muslims and Christians in the Philippines?
Actually, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's
I would say
hostile.
Good.
I would say similar to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there are some issues on some of the islands, I know, but
Yeah.
you know, the the ministry that we were working with was really, you know, pro
That's awesome.
reaching out to
That's
the
great.
Muslims. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So
That's so
good.
great.
So good. Okay, so tell me, how did you get to the Philippines?
so Iris has bases in. They had 30 or
lot.
so mission trips available, extended outreaches after the school. So the school is like a 2-month intensive. It's supposed to be in Mozambique. You know, we started in
Which we need to hear
Mozambique
that
and moved to
story.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Because I remember when that happened and we stopped and prayed for you guys. So
Oh,
let's
man.
come back to that
Yeah,
story.
let's come back to that one. It's good.
But then they have these 30 outreaches, and
Yeah.
so that was a point of contention for us. Where are we going to go? There's all these
Yeah.
amazing places, and the Philippines. I was actually born in the Philippines and haven't been back. So
You were born in the Philippines. Were your
Yeah.
folks missionaries?
so they were in the Navy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was a big naval base over there, and
But you hadn't been back since this.
so no, I was born there and lived my first year or two
year.
of life over there, and
Wow.
so yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
it was
So that'd
really
be kinda
cool.
cool.
We actually saw my nanny over there,
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah,
That was
it
like
was-
extended outreach.
How crazy is that?
That was vacation after extended
Yeah.
outreach.
We went to
Yeah.
a little undisclosed island. We said we weren't telling anyone where we went because it was so untouched. It was what I imagine Bali without all the
it
craziness.
beautiful?
We
was
can whisper it to you offline
absolutely
afterwards.
Yeah.
beautiful.
Because
Yeah.
we want to go. Gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And they have electricity, but they didn't have like indoor plumbing, and it was just magical. Like everything's just slow and beautiful, and you eat papayas off the tree. And
What in the
Yeah.
world?
so that's what we got to do after our mission trip.
Did you know she was there? Like you went looking for her?
So
We
thank
stayed in
God for
touch.
Facebook,
Oh
right?
my God.
Well, that's how
Nobody
you
knew
figured it out.
electricity, but they have Facebook.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right.
What in the world?
There's no ATM. We actually ran out of money, so there's no ATMs
What you guys
and no Wi-Fi.
You have been on an adventure. Again, I just have to remind everybody, this is your first year of marriage. Wow.
Yeah, it was a ball.
Oh, it sounds like a ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so you love the
So
Philippines,
good.
but again, how did you get there?
Oh yeah, so we
So Southeast Asia is on Celeste's
Yeah.
heart. She's just
Has that
dreaming
been-
about Southeast Asia. And
Has that been always, Celeste?
well, I lived in Vietnam when I was like 26.
Okay.
as
Was
a
that on
missionary.
missions?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was a missionary. And so
Who were you with then?
I was with a small, very like grassroots organization that would rescue people off the streets, and
Nice.
they had a cafe, and they would teach them skills. So,
Nice.
And we
That's
eventually,
super
right after I left Vietnam, we turned it over to the Vietnamese. So that was a cool thing. The
That
whole
is
thing was
awesome.
run by the nationals. So when I left there, that has always just felt like home. Like in my dreams at night, I wouldn't dream about America. Like I would dream about walking down the streets of Vietnam, you know. So
Well, that's a definite way of knowing.
Yeah,
yeah.
that is a way of knowing for sure.
Yeah, so I've always had a heart for Vietnam, and then I did a trip after my third year of school ministry to Cambodia, which I'd been to Cambodia before, and I didn't know how I'm like, how did I even end up here? I don't even feel called here, you know? Anyway, and so that just further, just fed my love affair with Southeast Asia, and
Wow.
so, and I've been to Thailand as well. And then, so when we were deciding on our mission trip, I was like, oh, we're going to Cambodia, like, because there's a base there, you know, and it wasn't on the list. And I'm like, what? Like, I had it all planned out, you know. And so, there was a few, like Mexico and just a few different ones that we were interested in. And the Philippines one had, they would make jewelry and purses and things like that, you know, and then it was also a trash dump. And so I'm like, oh, well, those are like two of my things, you know. So pretty much I decided we were going to the Philippines. So that's how that went down.
That's how most of our decisions go down.
Not a bad system at all. I have so many questions. When did you fall in love with trash dumps?
Well, I went on a trip to Southeast Asia.
Okay.
I went to Thailand and Cambodia with Jordan and Winnie Banoff.
Okay.
About 3 years ago now, I guess. Forget the timing. So I went with them, and if you guys know the Banoffs at all, like Winnie her passion is trash dumps, and
Wow.
Wow.
that's her thing. And so anywhere they go around the world, she's like, just take me to the trash dump. And so our whole trip was mostly, I'd say like 75% going to just trash dumps in Thailand and Cambodia.
Wow.
And then we did a few orphanage runs or whatever.
And that's when you really fell in love.
That was the first time in my life that I had that moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm full throttle. Like,
Wow.
everything in me is full throttle right now. Like, my brain was clear. I could hear the Lord clear. I felt safe. Like, I felt
Wow.
on purpose. So that, for me, was like, oh, we just have to go back to the trash dump, you know? So.
Wow.
She does come alive in the trash dump. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. You haven't seen Celeste until you've seen her in a trash dump.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talk some more about this. What is it?
I think it's just I've never encountered God or Jesus like that so tangibly, you know. People, like everybody we pray for gets healed. Everyone, you know,
Wow.
gets to know Jesus. I mean, like when I was with the Banoffs, we would worship in like a central area of the trash dump. And then we would go out and just go to people's home, like little shanties or whatever, and pray for, you know, whoever is sick. And the Lord wouldn't even let us get there. Like we would be like, hey, you know, can we pray for you guys? And they're like, oh, we're sick, but right before you came, we were healed. And we're like, Jesus,
Wow.
like we want to pray for people, you know? And so just crazy stuff like that. And that stuff like hooks you in. You're like, okay, I'm sold, you know?
Sure.
And so I've just seen people just radically healed, just set free, encounter Jesus, you know, and they're just the dirtiest, poorest people. And it's the place, I honestly haven't ever experienced Jesus that tangibly ever,
Wow.
like outside of a trash dump. So
Well, no wonder you love the trash dumps. That's
Yeah.
a great
Yeah.
reason to love them. That's amazing.
yeah,
Okay.
it's beautiful. So
Well, talk to us more about Harvest. We want to hear about that. Well, we're kind of doing this in back order. How did you get to Harvest? You guys got married, and then you headed off to Harvest, and what time and why?
So it's something that has been on Celeste's heart for about 10 years.
Yeah.
What, you had a list, you wanted to do the world race?
Bassam or Reading.
Is this your bucket list, Celeste?
Yeah, this is my three little things I want to do.
And so they were what? You did the world race. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, great!
Yep. And Bassam, and Harvest School. So, yeah, and that was over 10 years. I did those things. So
wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
So it was really my dream, and then we got married, and it became our dream.
That's a good dream to share.
So really, just to back up, like the biggest thing for us, like we had an interesting dating process and actually broke up twice, and it was over 3 years, and I was in love with Celeste the whole time. There was something so special about her. Like, I just loved her dreams so much, but her dreams felt like so much weight to me, and actually having to do them, and I just didn't see how things would work because I'm just a very like straightforward kind of A plus B or A B C kind of.
Sure.
And I'm like, hey, go. Like, go.
And so it just didn't make sense to me, like what's going on. And then during third year, we were broken up the whole year and not talking. And I just started dreaming. I just had this, not dreams in the night, but dreams in the heart of the things that I really wanted to do. And I just realized, wow, all of my dreams, my plan A really lines up with all these crazy things that Celeste wants to do. And I'm really just afraid that I'm not going to be able to make them happen for her. And when that dawned on me, the Father's just like, oh yeah, I'm actually going to make those happen. You're not responsible for
that's beautiful
for making her dreams happen. And I feel like that as guys, a lot of times we just put that weight on,
Speak into that, because we have got people listening everywhere. They're always believing to be married because it's so wonderful. So of course people want to get married. It makes great sense to me, but speak into that just a little bit. So 3 years dating, 2 times broken up. Yeah. And one of the things that you had to work through again. Kyle, talk to us more about that.
Yeah. So, it was finding alignment. It was in my mind and in my heart and in what Jesus is saying. I wanted to have alignment on a big decision like that. And if I didn't, it wasn't going to happen. But
which I think that's great resolve. That's a non-negotiable. You need alignment. So hats off for waiting for that and seeking out alignment.
And so it was really cool. We actually did pre-marriage the year before third year. So we did some pre-marriage counseling and decided to break up. And just because I didn't have alignment, I was trying to figure it out in my head, and I didn't understand. But then when I had this period of being able to dream, I realized, oh, wow, this is really right. This is it. And there's still risk. There was so much risk still to take, and it required courage to step out. But God was so faithful, like along the way. And I knew, even in breaking up, we had broken up before, and I knew, she hears from the Lord and I hear from the Lord. And I just had so much confidence that, if he's talking to me about this, he's going to be talking to her about it. Yeah. And so Celeste actually, the one time that we talked, she let it slip or actually Jesus told her to share.
The Lord was like, we didn't talk for like 5 months after we broke up the second time. And we had a conversation, and the Lord said, I want you to tell him that you're going to Africa, going to Harvest School. Because I'd planned to go to Harvest School, and then I was moving to Asia, life planned out, And so I told Kyle, I'm like, well, I'm going to Africa, and then I'm going to Asia, and I don't know why I'm telling you this.
Wow.
And so for the next 10 minutes, he paced around my house, like not knowing what to do with that information.
That's big information.
Yeah, like we're clearly broken up, but something's going on here.
What was going on?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there was a timer on that, but I mean, it was great. You know, it was great for Celeste to be moving on and moving towards her dreams, and that really forced me to make a decision. And it was the thing that was so beautiful about it was, you know, we could have gotten married before and just gone through, and I could have kind of pushed through. I was, you know, on the edge. We had gone through pre-marriage counseling, but it always felt like a tug. Celeste was always pulling to do these, you know, radical trips. I just want to, you know, quit work and go to some exotic place around the world.
I just need a trash dump.
Right.
Yeah.
And that just felt like such tension to me.
Sure.
And then here, you know, 9 months later, the Lord has done something in my heart where, I'm totally on board, and there's no tension at all for that, and we're just a full go on your dreams, and your dreams are my dreams now.
Yeah.
So
And did that happen? Did that happen in your third year of school? Is that what you're saying?
it did, yeah.
Wow. So a lot of transformation happens there, doesn't
So
it?
much. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
Celeste, what was that like when you was it after that conversation that you guys got back together?
No, we didn't actually get back together. It was a few more months, and we still didn't talk. And the Lord said, I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to make it work, you know. And so the Lord said, I just want you to go after your dreams. So I'm like, great. I'm just taking steps forward. Yeah, I'm like, I can do that part, you know. And then he came back and professed his love, and he wanted to marry me and all that.
Yeah, it was still, 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah, it was a while. Yeah. And so then, of course, I was like, what? Yay, but I was going to Africa. And so, hold on a minute.
Can we get married in a trash dump?
Seriously.
The ceremony there.
Yeah, seriously. That would be amazing, actually. But
Now brainstorming their anniversary.
Yeah,
Well, so what'd you
Yeah.
do?
for what?
Well, what did you do? So how did y'all get back together
Get
after
back
he
together.
professed his love? And
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't talk to him.
So we have this conversation, and then it took me a while longer to process, you know, what it was. The Lord was working on me quite a bit. What happened? So Celeste was leading our trip to Mexico. She was
Like
working-
logistical leader, yeah.
working with Bassam that year.
okay,
With logistics for the trips. And so Justin and Jen were leading that trip, and we were meeting, you know, we had a few meetings, and Celeste, I knew that I would see her, you know, a few times before our trip. And so the first time we're in the same room, she just doesn't even give me the time of day, doesn't look at me, no eye
Processing.
contact at all.
processing it,
Don't
girl.
talk to me.
Shun.
And so the next time, and I'm kind of a pro by now. I know how Celeste operates when we're broken up. I'm like, all right, that's just her.
My
That's just her
defense.
broken up. That's broken up, Celeste. No big deal. But so the second time I know I'm going to see her, and I'm just driving in, you know, coming in from the city, got 40 minutes in the car, and I'm like, man, I'm just on this hamster wheel in my mind thinking about Celeste. And what the heck? I'm just going through the same thoughts all the time. I'm tired of this.
What the heck?
And so, you know, you just have some of those moments where your thoughts completely change and you just have a God thought. And it
Yeah.
just was really simple. Oh, Jesus, like, I'm open to talking about Celeste, but I only want to talk about her if you're going to bring it up and talk about her. I'm done with this hamster wheel in my mind and just
Sure.
ping ponging around in my brain.
Yeah.
And so that day, God talked to me twice. I got an email during the meeting, and I've sneaked my phone out of my pocket randomly and just checked my email, and it says, "Let's get celestial."
Which is my nickname. So
Of course it is.
Of course.
What? And so there were a few other things where I realized, oh wow, he's
Little
really
divine coincidence.
He wants to
really
talk about
talking
that.
about her.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
talking about Celeste, and so yeah, it took me a little while, but I came around and kind of just dropped it all on her one
Yep.
night by the river.
By the
out of the
river.
blue.
In the United States here?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
before Mexico.
So
Oh yeah, you went to Mexico.
So Celeste was not on that trip.
Oh,
She
okay.
was
Yeah.
just doing the logistics.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I take a while to process. So I've
does.
had several
Nothing wrong
encounters
with
and
that.
things, but I spoke to her and realized, hey, these are my dreams. Let's talk about what this would look like. And are you in? And Celeste took a week to
Yeah.
think about it.
Yep.
And there was so much.
So
Just
there's a
amazing
million
stuff.
details we're not talking about right now because there's so many details.
Sure.
But yeah,
But you obviously ended up getting married.
yeah, we did.
Okay.
It was magical.
And so Harvest School was on the plate
Okay.
from
there.
day one
Gotcha.
because she was talking about it, and I was in on that. We were wondering if we were going to do it engaged or have a shorter engagement and try to go
Yeah.
in 2017.
So how long were you married
Or
before you
2018.
headed off to Harvest?
So we were married. We got married in October 28.
8 months.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like after month 1, I was like, okay, so can we talk about going to Harvest School? It's like, now what? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't waste any time
Good.
talking about it.
And God was so good with just the preparation for Harvest School too. We were fully funded to
Oh,
go.
guys,
That's
that's a big
fantastic.
deal.
Really, the
deal.
day that we said yes, internally, both of us said yes. We got a check unsolicited from a friend for
Wow.
$3,000.
Yeah. Like the Lord told me to give you $3,000 today.
Wow.
And we're like, like we just said yes to the Lord today. Like we didn't even tell you about this. So
Wow.
yeah. So it was crazy favor from like the first moment we said yes. So
Sure.
I'm a big advocate. He's now on board of like the power of your yes, like I felt like we had to say yes together. We weren't saying yes separately anymore. Like, okay, we're together now. And the Lord said, like, I need to hear you actually both saying it out loud to me together, like having a moment.
Oh, wow.
And we did that. And then within like 5 hours, someone gave us $3,000 and we're like, oh my gosh, like
Wow.
this is crazy. So, and then it was just, blew our minds, completely blew our minds the whole time. So
The whole thing.
yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, so I hear you guys talking a little bit about process and having a little bit of time of counseling with Justin. So, do you guys do like Sozo? Is that something that y'all are part of?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your involvement with that and like what goes on there.
Well, I was on the Sozo team for a few years.
Oh.
I stepped down from it, so I'm not doing it anymore. But I
Yeah,
still
so-
do Sozo because you can't
Totally.
not
So
do
I've been
Sozo.
involved
So
in-
helpful.
I've been involved in Sozo for a while too. It's
A few years.
recently we're building the financial Sozo program
Oh,
here, so I'm
nice.
kind of working on that a little bit more.
Well, you guys
And-
explain Sozo to folks that don't know what Sozo is because
Yeah.
it is that wildly helpful.
Yeah.
You
So
can say it
Sozo
better
is
than me.
saved, healed, delivered. That's the Greek word, and it's an inner healing ministry that's really about getting connected to God the Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and uncovering lies that we believe that have usually crept in based on our earthly relationships, and just walking through walking through
Living
forgiveness.
on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, the power of forgiveness is really, it's amazing, because when you hear about sozo, it sounds like something that's hard or technical, but it's such a simple ministry, and it's really just the power of forgiveness is the biggest thing, I think.
Wow, I've never heard it nutshelled like that. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, forgiveness just brings so much freedom, and it's incredible. We witnessed that corporately this summer at Harvest School quite a bit, where there would be kind of like what Michael Maiden did, where he empowered the men and the women, but maybe where there was corporate forgiveness towards men or women or towards leaders.
Church
Wow.
leaders.
And it was amazing. You would wake up the next morning and, man, all of the girls they're just shining.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like physically, people just look different after
Doing corporate.
during forgiveness times,
Wow.
the next day, especially after there was a men and women's day, just it was beautiful. And then the next day, everyone's like, oh my gosh, all the women just are shiny, just full
Wow.
of confidence.
And this
it
is
was,
at Harvest.
Yeah.
Wow.
It shocked me.
So let's keep speaking into that, because of course there's not a person on the planet that's not at some time, we all have the power of forgiveness. It's what we're doing here. My goodness. Jesus has forgiven us. It's our starting place with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to us about just forgiving each other again and the power of it.
Yeah. I think that unforgiveness is probably one of the greatest hindrances in our destiny. And I think just people get stuck, they just get stuck in remembering all the wrongs and remembering hurts, and they just get stuck in pain. And I love how Jesus, it really is simple. It's hard sometimes to choose, but it's simple. He already did it. He did everything that is needed to clean the slate, and it's just so supernatural. Whenever we've walked through forgiveness, how relationships are just different. There's all of a sudden different. You can't quite put your finger on it. And just the wholeness that happens inside of you. And forgiveness is for us so that we can hear God and, we can hear our hearts again. So, yeah. So I'm a big advocate of inner healing and sozo. And
Oh my goodness, I'm sure. So how does sozo and forgiveness apply to financial
Good question.
things? What are we forgiving in a financial situation?
So a financial sozo, I guess you realize that you're just not relating to money the way in a healthy way. And so that's typically based on either lies that you've heard from people. There's a lot of misteaching in the church or in family. God is our provider, and there is always enough. And so when you grow up in a family where there isn't always enough, there's forgiveness that needs to happen for us to actually be able to walk in the kingdom.
yeah.
So when you're in the kingdom, there literally is always enough, but that unforgiveness can block you from receiving.
Yeah.
That is so helpful.
And so is this a class that you walk through with folks?
So we've got the Prosperous Soul class, which is similar to the financial sozo. We're kind of rolling all of these things out this year, and
Nice.
Yeah.
but the financial sozo is more of a one-on or two-on-one, just intimate session where we would go a little bit deeper on your personal connection with finances. And it's really it's all about Jesus, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it
Sure.
is.
Yeah.
But it's funny that we often have a bad connection with money just based on our teaching
Sure.
from Jesus, and yeah.
It's okay. It sounds wildly helpful. Is that
That's so
something
cool.
anybody can get hold of? Like, how
Yeah.
would they get in touch with you guys for help with that? Or just Sozo, period, even though, Celeste, you're not in the Sozo team more, but you
Yeah.
minister.
So
Sozo all the
Sozo
time.
is, I should know this right off the top of my head.
That is
It's
okay.
through Bethel Health.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the website,
Yeah, you can go to
sign
the
up.
app. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
the
not
app.
100% sure if Financial Sozo's on there yet.
Coming
Okay.
soon.
Coming soon.
Stay
To a
tuned.
Sozo
Yeah.
near you.
Yeah.
So helpful. So helpful. You guys, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this has
this
been
was
wildly
great.
helpful. It's about time to wrap up. And
going
we
moving
always
fast
do.
tonight.
What's that?
It's moving fast tonight.
Moving fast.
That was quick, yeah.
We wanted to open this up. We always do all of our guests to just words of knowledge, anything you're hearing. If you want to pray for our people, we've had some beautiful miracles happen
Wow.
just from words of knowledge. And so if
Yeah.
you guys want to release anything or just pray over folks that are listening, we would love it. If you've
Yeah.
heard anything while we've been sitting here talking, or Kunt, you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an email address you could email, because we always love to hear testimonies when people come on and minister on BA Chats. It's an open door. It's an invitation for you. Literally, it's like getting a letter with an RSVP, and you can sign it and send it back, and you're in. So it's simple. BAChats@BethelAtlanta.com. You can email us. We would love to hear your stories and hear what God's doing in your heart and in your life. And so I think we should take some time to dole it out.
Dole it out.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
So
Do you guys have anything on your
if you
heart?
got anything on your heart, in your
Yeah, I was just thinking about when I was single, I felt like I had to choose between being married and being a missionary. And and that was such a mind battle for me. I couldn't reconcile how it could be amazing together. And so I just want to pray for the women, because I feel like it's mostly women who I hear those stories from. So I just release grace and truth and courage, and just faith that the Lord is good enough to bring you a mate that will be wildly excited about your dreams, and that you can do missions together, and it'll be more powerful than doing it alone.
Oh.
So,
Come on.
yeah.
That is
wonderful.
Beautiful.
That's so
Super
great.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel something similar for guys. Just this idea that we are actually made to be conquerors and courageous. And so I just empower all the men out there that you are meant to be conquerors. Even though our world, it doesn't look like it every day, the things that you're going through are so much more important than you could ever imagine. And you are actually meant to be a champion for what you're facing. And
Yeah.
you actually will be the champion of your life.
That's beautiful. That's so super helpful.
I'll take that.
I was about to say, put your hands out, Coach.
I'm taking that one.
I have my hands out. Oh my goodness! Thank you so much, Wishings. We just bless you guys. We want to
Thank
release.
you.
You want to release over their marriage? I was just hearing while they're
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd
Go
be
ahead.
great.
Father, thanks. We just love you. Thank you for tonight. We thank you for the Wishings. We just bless them. We just say Ephesians 3:20, that it just keeps multiplying, that goodness keeps being more than they're asking for and more than they're thinking, according to that power that's in them.
Yeah.
Father, thank you for that power that's in them. I think that power, of course, is always the Holy Spirit, but I think a lot of it is the ability to dream and the ability to support each other's dreams. So we just say more of that. In Jesus' name, I say more comfort. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I feel like you guys are, do you have plans to just be going all over the place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know where, but yes.
Yes, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a beautiful part of your life. It'll bring you just wild joy, just like this, just for forever. That's so good, you guys. Good, good. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, I just closed my eyes. I just saw this like huge like bird back behind you. I don't know. I think it's an eagle, but I just saw these wings back around you, and that I saw just this like protection from wherever you go, whatever you do. There's just divine, holy protection over your life. But at the same time, I felt the wind coming through these wings, and that you guys you're just destined for soaring. You're destined for the air, and you're destined to really fly hard and high, and go places and set your wings and go places where other people just aren't, so you can reach people for the gospel, for the kingdom. And so I really feel like in this, with those wings out like that there's just this really humble, quiet strength that you carry, and you'll see people really start to you'll see people come to the peculiarness of what the wake that you're leaving and at the pace that you're going to go. So I just feel like God he's just saying yes, yes, and just fly. Set your wings out strong and let him just carry you and take you. It's going to be a great season. Yeah, it's really going to be a great season at the beginning here. Very good. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, and that's everybody else's word too. Grab on that.
Take that.
Just take that one. Yeah, it's free.
We'll share a little bit.
Yeah.
So good. Kyle and Celeste, thank you so much for being our guest on BA Chat. You guys are wonderful.
So honored to have you.
We
Yeah,
are
honored to have you in our body. Honored to hear your story. Honored to have you on BA Chat. We just, can't wait to get to know you more. What a blessing.
Thanks so much,
so
guys.
cool.
So cool.
Thank you, people, for tuning in. We're always happy to have you guys remember that we love you.
And Jesus loves you too.